Do that again is the UK editor of The Big Issue, Paul McNamee, and the author and broadcaster, Emma Wolfe. Paul, Emma, good to have you back with us. Thanks for sticking around. I know you've got much better things to be doing. All right, let's go to the front page of The Guardian. We'll start off with you, Emma. Sorry, not the front page, page 7 of The Guardian, the story that we are covering at the top of our bulletins. This is about 1 in 4 people in the country saying that they're not going to turn their heating on this winter.
Yeah, so this is another, yet more worrying data, more worrying analysis, Kamali, about the cost of living crisis. Around 1 in 4 adults saying that they will not be able to turn their heating on at all this winter. This is a poll from Savanta Comrade's study, showing that the numbers actually could be even higher for those with children under 18. And that's really worrying, obviously, because people with children under 18 are the ones with young children who need to actually keep the home warm, even more so than normal people. It was actually a study commissioned by the Lib Dems, and they've called the results heartbreaking. 7 in 10 also have said that they'll put the heating on much less. And we've got a dire winter coming. You know, everybody is saying there's a dire winter ahead. The energy price cap, as we know, rising by 80% in October, with the average price of energy around 3,500. But that could be as high as 7,000 next April. And there's a real sense, obviously from the Lib Dems, but in general, and Paul referenced this earlier, a real sense that the government and that our leaders, our politicians, our sort of, current and future Prime Minister have been missing in action on this one, that they should have come up with something a little bit more workable than nibbling around the edges, talking about possible tax cuts, sending out £400 to certain sectors. That we really need to hear some concerted action on this.
Yeah, thank you for that. Paul, if you don't mind, I'll just keep us moving on because you haven't got loads of time. I want to go to the front page of the Daily Mail. This is a story that you picked out here. This is, let's bring up the headline if we can. Hospitals hit by £5.5 million a day bed blocking crisis, the Mail say. That it's not a bed blocker on the front page, that's Lewis Hamilton apparently. But Paul, tell us about the story on the front page there.
Yes, just as you outlined, the Mail have found that 1 in 7 patients who are fit for discharge hospitals are not being discharged, and this on top of the cost of living crisis and the energy crisis. What's happening in the NHS is going to be a major problem that will have to be dealt with by the incoming Prime Minister. The Mail has found that it costs about 5.5 million a day to keep people who should be discharged from hospital in hospital. I should say this looking like it's hospitals in England and Wales rather than in Scotland as well, because that's separate and it's devolved. But they think that there's 13,000 beds filled with patients who are ready to leave, but they just can't, either because staffing issues or there aren't social care beds for them to go to. And of course this compounds problems that we've seen all through summer and indeed through from springtime. With ambulances queuing up at A&E, they can't have people go into A&E because people can't be discharged from A&E into hospital, and so on and so forth. So this is not something that is easily fixed, but it's something that needs to be got into, not just because of the cost, which is spiraling, but because of what it means for people, for their well-being, for their families. If you're ready to go home from hospital, how dispiriting and how terrible it is that you're maintained in hospital. And as with a number of these things, there doesn't seem to be a clear and coherent plan to deal with this.
No, there's not. I mean, the 40 new hospitals, as we've seen, was perhaps not the solution to deal with it, was it, Emma? There seems to be a real concern here that there's just not enough space and there's not enough money to go around to make sure that the social care and the healthcare system are funded properly.
Exactly. I think Paul's absolutely right. This points to the broken healthcare system, or to health and social care system that we have. Obviously, the national insurance price rise, which is set to be reversed, and was supposed to be going to deal with this and really try and start funding social care properly. But no, we have a system that's completely broken, that, older people, more vulnerable people are simply being as you say, left in hospitals, kept in hospitals unnecessarily at huge expense and at huge, discomfort to themselves. They don't want to be there if they're not medically unwell, and yet they can't be sent home. So yeah, this is just bed blocking. It's a horrible term, but it's a broken system at the moment.
Yeah, it is a horrible term, but I guess it's a real situation that people are facing in hospitals. All right, let's move on to a story inside the Telegraph, Emma, that you've picked out. This is about Carnival. Now, I was there yesterday. I had a great time with my wife and my boy, but there weren't as many floats as we were expecting. And this story, I think, tells us a little bit why, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. So this is the Mayor of London was saying, if we thought we could escape the cost of living crisis, Kamali, by going to the Carnival, but sadly not. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has been saying that the Carnival's return to the capital has actually been quite negatively affected by these spiralling costs and bills. Many of those people who wanted to take part, who wanted to have floats and sound systems and all of that, have not been able to attend. Although he did say that he said on social media the vibes are immaculate. I think that's his way of being cool. Is that like?
I mean, vibes were immaculate. It was a lovely vibe day yesterday. We had a great time. all that were there.
The vibes are immaculate. Just doesn't seem like something that Sadiq Khan would come out with. But it is lovely that the West London Street Party is back after 3 years.
No, it really was. It was good to go there. And Paul, I won't ask you if you're at Carnival there with Thelonious Monk behind your shoulder. I'm sure you do love your music. But this is a story about musical instruments that you've picked out from inside the Times. And I really should have picked up that guitar again when I put it down as a teenager.
Well, this is actually a good story. Amongst unremittingly miserable and dark stories, there have been pieces of research through the years that suggest that if you play a musical instrument earlier in life, it will have a positive impact later in life. And this is further research that seems to say that is a truth. It comes from the University of Edinburgh study. It's on octogenarians in Scotland who played instruments early in life, and it's found that their cognitive ability is sharper had they played those instruments. It comes with a slight caveat in that two of those instruments are accordions and bagpipes, which is in life, but not perhaps for people who are listening to people learn accordions and bagpipes. It is from the Lothian Birth cohort from 1936. I just wanted to mention one thing. The person quoted in this has got one of the best titles I have read in a story. It's a guy called Ian Deary. He's now emeritus professor, but he was director of university of Edinburgh Centre for Cognitive Aging.
We'll get the title next time. All right, more to come from Sky News Breakfast in the next hour. We'll get that title as well from Paul.